Everybody, welcome on into the Coubs Corner podcast. Your boy Chris Yakub here. See Yakub713 on the Twitter. You already know the pod page, but it's Coubs Corner Pod on Twitter. If you don't follow me, you should. If you don't follow me, at least follow my boys, DaTailgateShow. They're the ones really holding it down, putting me on the air. I at least got to shout them out. My boy True Biscuits and Gravy, B Diddy, Air Jer. Love y'all guys. Appreciate you. Y'all know the format? Coming in on a Friday, oddly enough, not a Monday. I said, what? I said Friday. I said, okay, why not? Let's do it. You know the format. 3 topics, under 10 minutes. Move them fast. Here we go. Number 1, always free agency. Only made one move that's really worth noting, I guess. Savon Young. Okay, why not? It's a solid DB. I get it. When healthy, he plays well. I feel like that's kind of the mantra of the Chicago Bears. When healthy, they're decent. So I think this is a decent move. I expect him to be rotational. I think he could earn a starting spot because he has that level of talent. I have more of a strong belief that he's going to be rotational, come off the bench, maybe special teams, strictly because I think we're going to target CB2 out of the draft. I think that because, we give this guy a 1-year deal. I mean, it's same reasons as always. We're not tying ourselves to any of these cats. So why would we tie down a premier position on our defense as a starter on a 1-year deal? He comes in and starts as a CB2, does well. Guess what? Probably not re-signing him next year. Why would we do that to ourselves? Why would we create a defense, a long-term strategy on defense for a guy that's going to be gone after 1 season? So I don't see it. I see it more of a good rotational guy. That way, when we do have substitutions, we're not skipping a beat. We're going to get into that a little bit later as well. That's an important note. Remember, defensive waves. Remember that. Topic number 2. I got to touch on the Justin Fields debate right now. Man, I'll tell you what. I thought Twitter was bad sometimes with some of the takes on players. But man, the media is brutal. Look. I just saw this whole situation with Connor Orr talking about a transfer portal for NFL talent, specifically targeting out Justin Fields, saying, hey, that way it keeps the teams honest and makes them build around the guy versus, the guy having the opportunity to bail if he wants to. Look, I don't know what wild world this guy thinks he's in. And I get that there's some perception that the Bears haven't done a whole lot to build around Justin. I get it. However, we've talked about this kind of ad nauseum at this point. When Flus and Poles came in, what was the first thing they said? They're going to build through the draft and the second and third waves of free agency. So here we are, going through the back end of the first wave of free agency, barely touching the second wave, getting ready to go into the draft, and we haven't really done any building. We've signed 1-year deals, we've got good depth pieces, but we haven't built our team. And we're surprised. We're surprised by these actions. These actions somehow don't align with what they said. Look, it drives me nuts when armchair QBs and armchair GMs get into this conversation as is. But when we're sitting here and watching legitimate members of the press spew this nonsense, absolutely absurd. It's absurd. I get the idea of what Connor was trying to say. I understand the idea of a transfer portal and how it kind of keeps both sides honest. I can get that, but specifically targeting out this situation is so erroneous. It's egregious. It's absolutely insanity. So I just feel that the press needs to shut the fuck up, personally. That's what I'd say, actually, how I feel. That's it. That is all it is. I think the press is out there trying to get clickbait articles out there, trying to get people drummed up and fired up because it's the slow season in the NFL, so they just got to talk about something. So realistically, I would rather them just shut the fuck up versus them actually try to say anything and get more clicks. But that's just me. Also, on this topic, if you really wanted to refute what they're talking about regarding Justin Fields specifically, I highly recommend you listen to the interview with Chris Collinsworth and Matt Eberflus. This is Justin's team. He flat out said it. He's QB1. He is unquestioned. They're building around him. That statement alone tells you they believe in this kid. That statement alone tells you that everything they're going to do is going to be with him in mind. Yeah, a lot of that is schematics. If you don't understand that, I don't know what to tell you. When you look at Indianapolis, they didn't have all-pro talent at every position. Not by signing. They developed talent into that. They developed a scheme that made guys look better than they were. But they didn't go out and say, oh, no, let me go sign X amount of players to, 9-figure contracts. They didn't do that. That wasn't their strategy. They believe in scheme. They brought in guys who can preach to a scheme. You mentioned the Shanahan a whole bunch in this presser. So yeah, I think this is where we're going to be for this year. I expect some spending next year. But regardless, I digress. Let's go on to topic number 3 because I already touched into it. The Eberflus presser. Look, my initial reaction to this presser is the same one I had when I first heard him speak. The first couple of interviews that I saw him have. Between him and Poles, we have football guys. This is a change. When I go back and I think the Matt Nagy pressers, dear God help us, the Ryan Pace involvement, also not great. What I saw was a couple of guys who were great rah-rah dudes who could sell you a used car, but had no idea how to actually coach a football team. They could sell you on the idea that they do, but no, absolutely not. These guys have a clear vision for their identity, which is hard-nosed, playing on offense and defense. I mentioned earlier the defensive waves. I'm coming back to that now. Their identity is not to have dudes going in and playing 70-80% of the snaps. This is a rotational scheme. It means that we're going to have guys going at full speed every single play of the game. That exhausts the opposing defense to where when you have guys who are in the third and fourth wave of players that are coming in, they can afford to be of lesser talent because their motor's running at 100% when the offensive line or defensive line on the other side of the ball is only running at 50 or 60%. When they're gassed and we're coming in at 100%, we're going to win those battles. It's a common sense strategy. I love it. It's aggressive. I think you're going to see a lot of guys drop out, though. I think you're going to start seeing players who you think get playing time, but will get less playing time because they don't want to work this hard. I'm looking to the older vets. I'm looking at the 30, 35-year-old players that we still have on this roster that realistically are not going to want to play that level of football. Yeah, I'm kind of looking at Robert Quinn a little bit. I think this is his last year in Chicago. That's just me. And I know that they said they want to anchor him in for the 50 to 60% snaps per the presser. I just don't see it. I see this guy going in, going hard. I don't see him enjoying working 100% on every single snap. He's going to have loaf plays. He's going to get coached on it. And as a savvy vet, that's not going to sit well. Not unless you're really buying. And I could be wrong. He really may. He may have that mentality. I just don't see it. That's where I also want to go this conversation to some extent too. Poles and Flus have high expectations of each and every member of their team. They hold them to a high regard. Look, that is also brand new. I remember videos of certain players walking down Rodeo Drive and having goofy-ass camera clips at training camps, trying to talk about dumb stuff all the time with no relevance to the football, getting congratulated in losses, pointing out the good when everything else is bad. I am all for positivity and reinforcement, but it has to be earned. You can't just sit there and give freaking rainbows and sunshine when you're a 4-12 worthy team or 4-13, whatever the hell the new schedule is. So, yeah, I am a fan of the high expectations. I'm a fan of this presser in general because he came out and was super, super transparent. He came out and said, hey, look, here's our plan. Here's what we're going to do. Didn't give the nitty-gritty of anything, but said, here's what we're going to do because this is what I've been doing. If you didn't know his plan of how he was going to run a team, if you didn't know their draft strategy, you haven't been paying attention. So, yeah, I don't think he gave away anything extra. I definitely think that he came in with a clear vision like he has from day one. He's following that through and setting those expectations for us to know that he's going to do what he says he does. And that I value. All right, guys, coming in on the 10-minute mark here, about 9.5 minutes. I'll let you get back to your day. I appreciate you. If you like it, retweet me. I'd like to get a little more exposure on this page. Give me some love. I'll love you. We'll do it communally. Y'all have a great day. Enjoy your Easter weekend. For those of you who love Jesus, stay blessed. For those of you who don't, have a great weekend with your family. Y'all just stay easy. Peace.